It's official. European Union wish to destroy China's economy. This is from the President of the European Union directly. She also requested that United States should be the country that increase this trend to ensure China economy is completely de-risked, or the Western nations will start facing problems. Let me explain what de-risking means. It refers to the phenomenon of financial institutions or country terminating or restricting business relationships with another company or country. In this case, Europe and US wish to de-risk China, because China companies are now edging out almost all the competitions in all the major manufacturing sectors, like car manufacturing that once belonged to Germany, aircraft manufacturing that once belonged to France and US, like clothing that once belonged to Italy and France. All these major powers are seeing this shift, and they are all afraid. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, addressed the German Bundestag. The gravity of her words resonated beyond the walls of the national parliament. Her speeches in Berlin were not just a routine diplomatic exercise, but a stark warning and a call to action for the European Union EU member states. Her message was clear. The EU must begin the process of economic de-risking from China, or face significant challenges ahead. Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. Von der Leyen's visit to Berlin came at a time when the global geopolitical landscape was shifting dramatically. The rise of China as an economic superpower had been a feature of global economics for decades. However, the nature of this growth and its implications for Europe had evolved. Von der Leyen's speeches highlighted a growing concern in European circles about the increasing economic might of China and the potential risks it posed to the European economy and its strategic autonomy. In her address, von der Leyen painted a somewhat bleak picture of the EU-China relationship. There were few notes of optimism as she spoke about the challenges that lay ahead. This was not the usual diplomatic rhetoric aimed at balancing criticism with praise. Instead, it was a forthright assessment of a relationship that, in her view, had tilted too far in China's favor. One of the key issues von der Leyen raised was the concept of in China for China's eye, a strategy where European businesses, initially welcomed into the Chinese market, found themselves increasingly sidelined by local competition. This strategy, von der Leyen argued, was a part of a larger Chinese policy aimed at reducing its reliance on the world, while simultaneously increasing the world's dependence on China. This approach, she warned, could eventually lead to European companies being squeezed out of the Chinese market or caught up in political turmoil. Von der Leyen's concerns were not just limited to the economic sphere. She also touched upon the geopolitical implications of the EU relationship with China. The €400 billion trade deficit the EU had with China was not just an economic statistic. It was, in her words, the calculated and declared result of China's trade and security policy. This deficit was a symbol of the growing imbalance in the relationship, one that von der Leyen argued needed to be addressed. Her warning about China's strategy to buy up mines for critical raw materials was particularly alarming. For over 20 years, China had been systematically securing its supply chains for essential materials, which could put the EU at a significant strategic disadvantage in the future. This strategy of China could potentially leave Europe vulnerable in sectors that are crucial for its technological and industrial future. The Chinese economy, according to von der Leyen, was also at a crossroads. She speculated that it could be facing a phase of relative stagnation, a trend that could have significant consequences for the EU. If the Chinese economy were to struggle, von der Leyen warned of floods of Chinese goods entering the European market at dumping prices, putting pressure on European manufacturers and potentially destabilizing the market. However, von der Leyen's critique was not just directed at China. She also had words for the EU, member states and their response to the challenges posed by China. The lukewarm response among member states to her economic security strategy was a point of concern. There seemed to be a lack of urgency or recognition of the gravity of the situation among some EU nations. The debate on economic security, which had been pushed off the agenda at a recent meeting of foreign ministers, was indicative of this. The strategy proposed by von der Leyen included restrictions on private companies' investments in certain high-tech sectors in China and an extension of the EU export controls regime. However, some governments within the EU were not entirely convinced about this approach. There was opposition to the idea of Brussels taking control of issues that are typically governed at the national level, reflecting the perennial tension within the EU between national sovereignty and collective action. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video and comment. Von der Leyen's push for more stringent controls was also met with resistance from free market advocates within the Union. They objected to the idea of placing more restrictions on trade, a stance that underscored the challenge of achieving a consensus on foreign policy within the diverse group of nations that make up the EU. In her speech, von der Leyen also touched upon the need to ensure that European companies and research did not inadvertently contribute to the buildup of military capabilities in other countries. This was a clear reference to the concerns about technology transfer and its potential misuse. The European Commission, under von der Leyen's leadership, seemed determined to take a more proactive role in ensuring that European resources were not exploited in ways that could be detrimental to the EU's strategic interests. Amidst these economic and strategic concerns, von der Leyen did not shy away from addressing the larger geopolitical issues at play. In her separate speech to two think tanks in Berlin, she called on China to take more responsibility on the global stage, particularly in areas like the Middle East and in its stance towards Russia's actions in Ukraine. China's position on these issues, she argued, would be a defining factor in shaping the EU-China relationship in the coming years. Von der Leyen's insistence on engaging with Beijing, despite these challenges, was a recognition of the complex interdependence that characterizes the global economy and international relations in the 21st century. The EU under her leadership seemed keen on walking a tightrope, balancing the need for economic ties with China against the imperative of safeguarding its own strategic interests. These speeches by Ursula von der Leyen marked a significant moment in the EU's approach to China. They reflected a growing awareness of the challenges posed by China's rise and the need for a more coordinated and strategic response from the EU. The emphasis on economic de-risking, technology transfer, and strategic autonomy was a clear indication that the EU was reassessing its relationship with China and its place in the global order. As the President of the European Commission, von der Leyen's words carried weight. However, the real test would be in how these words would translate into action. The EU's ability to come together as a unified bloc to address these challenges would be crucial. It would require a delicate balance of protecting its economic interests, ensuring strategic autonomy, and maintaining a constructive relationship with China. The implications of von der Leyen's speeches were not just limited to the EU-China relationship. They also highlighted the broader challenges faced by the EU in a rapidly changing world. The issues of economic dependency, technology transfer, and strategic autonomy are not unique to the EU's relationship with China. They are part of a larger conversation about how nations and regional blocs navigate the complexities of the 21st century global landscape. Ursula von der Leyen's speeches in Berlin were a significant moment in the EU's approach to China and its role in the global order. They highlighted the need for a more strategic and coordinated response to the challenges posed by China's rise. The speeches also underscored the broader challenges faced by the EU in balancing economic ties, strategic interests, and geopolitical realities. How the EU responds to these challenges will have significant implications, not just for its relationship with China, but for its role as a global actor in the years to come. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video and comment. The speeches by Ursula von der Leyen at the German Bundestag and her subsequent addresses in Berlin reflect a broader, more comprehensive view of the EU's stance on global economic and geopolitical challenges. The focus on China and the need for a strategic recalibration of the EU's relationship with this global superpower is indicative of a wider recognition of the evolving international dynamics and the EU's role within it. Von der Leyen's call for economic de-risking from China is not just a matter of adjusting trade balances or reassessing investment strategies. It represents a fundamental shift in how the EU views its place in the global economic order. This shift comes at a time when the international system is experiencing significant transformations, driven by changing power dynamics, technological advancements, and shifting alliances. The EU's relationship with China has historically been complex. On the one hand, China is a crucial trading partner for the EU, offering vast markets for European goods and services and playing a key role in global supply chains. On the other hand, there are growing concerns about China's approach to trade, its political system, human rights record, and strategic intentions on the global stage. Von der Leyen's emphasis on the concept of "in China" for China underscores a crucial aspect of this complexity. The strategy, which sees foreign companies establish a presence in China primarily to serve the Chinese market, has been a double-edged sword. While it has allowed European companies to tap into one of the world's largest consumer markets, it has also led to increased dependency and, in some cases, the erosion of competitive advantages as domestic Chinese companies rise. The issue of technology transfer is particularly pertinent in this regard. European companies, in their eagerness to access the Chinese market, have often found themselves in a position where they have to share critical technologies. This scenario has raised concerns about long-term implications for European technological leadership and innovation. Von der Leyen's stance on these matters is indicative of a growing awareness within the EU of the need to safeguard its economic interests and maintain its competitive edge. The strategy proposed, which includes tighter controls on investments and a more robust export control regime, is a clear move towards protecting European industries and preventing the unintentional bolstering of potential strategic competitors. However, von der Leyen's speeches also highlighted the internal challenges within the EU. In formulating a coherent and unified response to these issues, the EU is a complex entity comprising member states with their own distinct economic interests and foreign policy priorities. Achieving consensus on matters such as investment restrictions or export controls is often a challenging task, requiring a delicate balancing act between the collective interests of the EU and the sovereign rights of its member states. The opposition to more centralized control from Brussels, as expressed by some member states, is reflective of the long-standing tension within the EU between national sovereignty and collective action. This tension is not new, but it takes on added significance in the context of the EU's relationship with China. The ability of the EU to act as a unified bloc in its dealings with China is crucial for its ability to effectively manage this relationship. The economic considerations are further complicated by the geopolitical dimensions of the EU-China relationship. Von der Leyen's comments on China's stance towards global issues, such as the situation in the Middle East and its relationship with Russia, highlight the intertwining of economic and political considerations. The EU's approach to China cannot be viewed in isolation from these broader geopolitical dynamics. Von der Leyen's assertion that China's position on Russia's war in Ukraine will define the EU-China relationship in the coming years is a stark reminder of the complexities involved. The EU's relationship with China is not just about trade and economics. It is also about values, human rights, and the international order. This adds layers of complexity to the EU's decision-making process and its strategy towards China. The EU's approach to these challenges, as outlined by von der Leyen, is indicative of a broader strategic recalibration. The emphasis on economic de-risking, technological sovereignty, and strategic autonomy reflects an understanding of the need to balance engagement with China with the imperative of protecting the EU's own interests. The speeches by Ursula von der Leyen in Berlin were, therefore, much more than a critique of the EU's relationship with China. They were a call for a more strategic, coordinated, and assertive EU approach to its external relations. This approach is not limited to China but extends to how the EU interacts with other global powers and manages its role in an increasingly multipolar world. The speeches by Ursula von der Leyen represent a significant moment in the EU's ongoing process of defining its role in the global order. They highlight the challenges and complexities involved in managing relationships with major powers like China, balancing economic interests with geopolitical considerations. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.